I'm Marny Nesher, publisher of the Central New York Business Journal, and welcome everyone to our CNY Business Journal interview series focusing on WISE, Women's Business Center Success Stories. Welcome to Meghan Florkowski, the director for WISE, in assisting me today with our new series that will begin debuting next week. So welcome, Meghan. Thank you for joining me. And let's begin by sharing with our audience the history of WISE. First, tell us what WISE stands for. There still are many people that are unfamiliar with it.
I know it's a question every day, I think. So it's women igniting the spirit of entrepreneurship.
Okay. And what is it really in essence? It's the Women's Business Center, correct?
It is. We are a designated women's business center. Super fortunate. Over 100, almost close to Marny now, 140 across the nation. They're kind of opening almost daily right now, given some new opportunity that came nationally for new business centers.
So what is it? What is a women's business center?
Sure. So we are designated by the Small Business Administration as a women's business center. We all have a common mission to serve our women entrepreneurs, whether aspiring or growing, with the economic, financial, social, and intellectual capital that's necessary to ensure that they thrive. We have a specific focus on our underserved markets.
So you talked about that there are business centers throughout the United States. Do you have an exact number?
I don't have an exact number because it's changing almost daily. For a while there, it was, I could say, easily close to 120, but because there were new opportunities for organizations to go for the opportunity to be a women's business center, there are now closer to 140. So I would say at the end of the year nationally, we'll be closer to that number.
So tell us how WISE actually started in Syracuse.
Sure. So really, WISE, the name WISE predates the center itself. There was the opportunity really because of the push from Syracuse University, the support of Syracuse University to start a symposium. And so the WISE Symposium predates the actual center. The center was designated as a women's business center back in 2006. And I think it was those good efforts that came through the symposium and the knowledge that something like this was needed here in Central New York that we're able to take on, and the opportunity to be a women's business center.
So if you could share with us the connection with Syracuse University, what is it? I know that there have been a lot of people that don't understand how they're connected. Is it part of Syracuse University or is it a separate entity?
Sure. So all women's business centers have host organizations. Sometimes those come in the form of a chamber of commerce, or it might be a lending institution. In our case, we are well supported by Syracuse University. And so that comes in many different forms. I mean, right now, for example, we have 6 businesses, 6 of our clients that are working with student consultants on various aspects of their business. We are specifically a project of the Whitman School of Management. And so we're able to leverage many of the resources from an academic perspective. And I and myself, while my position is funded federally, I am an employee, as is our main staff. We're employees at Syracuse University. So that means from an operational perspective that many, our finances, for example, run through the university. Some of our systems run through the university. So that's quite helpful in my position, especially, I'm looking at all the IT equipment and technology that we have for our clients here that is supported by the Whitman IT staff to keep that functioning.
But funding is always an issue for WISE, is it not? I mean, you're not receiving all your funds directly from Syracuse University or from the SBA, is that correct?
That is correct. So we receive a small amount from Syracuse University, receive a small amount from the federal government. Really, our ability to grow and be able to do more as a center and touching our population, that comes in the form of sponsorships. It comes in the form of private donations and gifts.
Okay, that's great. Great clarification. And can you tell us what your coverage area is to support the women that come into your office, to your business?
Sure. At this time, we serve a 7-county area, service area, right here in central New York. So to our west, Cayuga County, and then we go east to Madison County, and then we jump up to Jefferson County, but not necessarily all the counties in between. So it's a little over 6,000 square miles.
It's a big territory,
Mhm.
definitely. And here, I have a question. What is the difference really between a women's business center and the small business development center, for as an example? I mean, what are the difference in services that you provide?
Sure. So I'll start with our differences and I'll share a little bit of our likeness as well. So we're uniquely focused on women business owners and some of the issues that come to play when we talk about women's business owners. Access to capital being one of those. Right now is a great example of our uniqueness in serving, and that we understand the caregiving roles, for example, that many of our women business owners and aspiring women business owners are facing. So we ensure that our hours, whether it be counseling or programs, that are well balanced to best serve those that need those unique hours. Just as an example. So we try to make sure that we're actually not overlapping too much when it comes to training. So I think we're always paying attention to each other, especially given who we're serving here in Central New York. We collaborate with the SBDC, so there are programs that we run together. And our likeness is that we are both resource partners of the SBA. And so we actually, both organizations fall under OED, the Office of Entrepreneurial Development, with this under the SBA. So we kind of consider ourselves siblings to a degree.
And can you share with us who would be eligible for your services? Would it be anybody walking off the street, coming in, wanting to meet with you? Do you have any criteria or not?
Yes, absolutely. So we do serve both women and men, though we are focused on women. And I would say just about anybody who is looking to start or grow a business is eligible for our services. We do not serve nonprofit entities, though we do have many that come asking for support. So we do our best to give a warm handoff and some resources to get them started.
Now, how many women typically come through your doors a year?
So we've jumped quite a bit this year, Marny. I would say pre-pandemic, we are serving around 300. We're serving over 500 right now in this last year. So that's unique. Clients, we serve well over 1,000 if with different training and counseling programs, but unique clients this year we're over 500.
So the pandemic has certainly changed the need. You have more women coming through your doors for your services. Was there any other changes that the pandemic has created for you?
It has. It's been quite the year, and I would say just our programming has shifted and changed. We try to be very proactive. We have the advantage in being a designated women's business center that we are getting a lot of that information before it goes public. So when I talk about information, I talk about, for example, some of the pandemic relief programs that are there. So an example of a service that we have advisory level services specific to the pandemic. So for example, if you jump on our website, if you need support on PPP, if you need support on the upcoming SVOG program that will open up, it's slated to open up on April 8th, we welcome you to connect with us for a call, email, so we can help you troubleshoot any questions that you might have. And if it's connecting you to a resource even outside of WISE, that's what we do really well too.
Okay, great. And what about your greatest need? What do you feel like is your greatest need right now at WISE?
Yeah, that's a good question. So whenever I hear that, my mind honestly races. I would say, overarching, it's capacity building. I know that we're just touching a portion of the population that really needs our services. If you look at the number of businesses, for example, women-owned businesses that are in our service area, there are close to 25,000 estimated, and that's not including those that would be interested in starting a business. We find that in some pockets of even just Onondaga County, that women business owners or those that are aspiring are somewhat insular to kind of their community that they're in. And so they might be tapping into resources that are right there, but not necessarily aware of what we have to offer. And so we, really just want to make sure that we are there to support, that if there are challenges that you're working your way through, that you can tap into resources and into women who have been there and done that, who can encourage you to move along. So I would say capacity building to create outreach. I would say capacity building and building out our own systems for reporting so that we can tell our story. I would definitely say capacity building in terms of fundraising. There's so much more that we can do. We were fortunate to receive some funding specific to the CARES Act. And I would say to a degree, that's what has allowed us to serve more, almost doubling our numbers of those that we're serving, but that funding does come to an end soon.
Okay, so let's switch over right now and let's share with our audience who some of these women are that we'll be meeting in the coming weeks. You've worked with them and the center has worked with them directly. So if you can share with us some insight, we'd all appreciate that.
Sure. So I think you're seeing a great representation in those interviews of just the strength of the women, and they're beautiful. There's so much energy and there's so much creative power with the women that you're going to be interviewing. So it's going to come through. What's I think interesting about those that we serve is really it's across many different industries, and often they might talk to you about one venture they have, but often there's several more that are seated, or they might be moving off of something else they've been doing. I think it's also a nice cross section of business owners that have kind of made their way through the pandemic and gotten pretty creative with how they're looking at their business and taking advantage of opportunities with a flexible mindset. So I am sure much of that will come through.
Yeah, I agree. And actually passion was something that I felt they were all still very excited, even after the pandemic or finishing up with this pandemic, with their business and what they had to offer and growing their business. So I thought that was really very interesting, as whereas some of us, as we come through this pandemic, we're exhausted. It's exhausting. Yeah. So
there's that too.
Yeah.
There is that too.
So if someone was interested in learning more about WISE, about the Women's Business Center, what would be the best way for them to connect?
Sure. So I would say WISE Center at syr.edu is a great way just to reach out and touch us. And additionally, we have a really, I think, pretty good website that gives you a really good indication of what we're all about and how to easily connect with us. And so that's wisecenter.org. We're also very active on our social channels. So you can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Instagram, and also on Facebook.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. Thanks for joining me today and introducing our upcoming WISE Women Entrepreneurs. And yes, many of them do have multiple businesses or ventures that they're doing, but we couldn't cover all of them as I was reading up their bio. So I thought that was really very interesting as well. Lots of ideas. So everyone, please stay tuned as we meet our WISE women next time. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Marny.